On the night of her 15th birthday, the demons came for her. Ngozi was lying on the bed when the room grew cold. Shadows appeared on the walls, twisting and moving like living things. Ngozi, a deep voice growled, "You have disobeyed us." She sat up, trembling. She knew they have come for her. The demonic ruler have sent one of his fierce-looking demons to get her. Ngozi was an unusual child from the moment she was born. Her mother Nkem didn't suffer serious labor pains, unlike her first pregnancy where she labored for 2 days before giving birth to her son Obi. Ngozi was very beautiful with skin that glowed like river at dawn and eyes that glitter like diamonds. Her voice sounds like music from the moment she was born. People said there was something unusual about her. She's too perfect, the neighbors whispered. She's not just a child, there is something more to her. When Ngozi turned 6 months old, she started being sick again and the sickness became frequent. First, it was a fever. Then it was diarrhea that would not stop. After that, her skin broke out in painful rashes. Nkem would sing to her every night, braid her hair in the mornings, and carry her on her back while holding her son Obi by the hand anytime they went out. Whenever she has her frequent fever, Ngozi will be burning up and shaking violently. Nkem will stay by her side, wiping her face with a wet cloth and whispering soothing words. "You'll be okay, my love. Mommy is here." Little baby Ngozi will open her eyes and look at her mother's face with love and attention to her care. Meanwhile, in the spirit world where Premier came from, they have been monitoring Premier's stay here on earth. They noticed that Nkem was lavishing so much love on her daughter Ngozi, despite how sickly they have made Ngozi to be. They thought that Nkem and the husband would be so disappointed about the kind of sick child they have, and by this cursed the day she was born. But instead, they cared and pampered her. The way they are showering love on her could make her forget their kingdom and her mission on earth. The success of her mission on earth will determine if they can survive the rapt from the demonic ruler. So, for fear of them losing Premier to her earthly parents, they decided that on her 5th year birthday, they were going to send 2 of her close friends to her to guide her and remind her of who she is. The mission of these 2 friends was to visit her every night, remind and teach her who she is so that her human nature will not dominate her spiritual nature. And since these friends have lived on earth before and have been successful in their own tasks when they were born in the past, both of them were the perfect fit for the job. So the night Ngozi turned 5 years old, as she laid on the bed, it was like something was keeping her awake. As the clock struck 12, she heard a soft ease near her window. Turning, she saw a snake sliding in through the window. At first, she was shocked, but the snake spoke. "Surprise, Prima. I am your friend, Lila," the snake said. His voice was smooth, almost comforting. Before she could respond, the bird flew in through the window. Its golden feathers glowed, lighting up the room. "Hello, Prima," the bird said. "We have not seen you for a while now. You have not been coming to visit us. I hope you still remember your mission. All the same, that is why we are here, to remind you of the promise you made to the demonic ruler." "What mission?" asked Ngozi. "But first, let's have some fun," the bird said, its wings shimmering as it flapped. The bird picked her up, and before Ngozi could protest, they flew out of the window and into the night sky. The flight was an unforgettable one. The bird carried Ngozi high above the town, the wind rushing through her hair. Below, she could see the houses, the trees, and even the river that ran through the town. The snake slithered around her neck, whispering in her ear, "This is just the beginning. There is so much more to see." They flew through clouds, danced with the stars, and even visited the moon. Ngozi laughed and squeaked with delight, feeling freer than she ever had. When they returned home, the snake and the bird told her, "We will come back tomorrow. Remember, you are one of us." From that night on, Ngozi eagerly waited for midnight. She would lie in bed, pretending to sleep until the clock struck 12. Then her friends would arrive and the adventures would begin. One night they took her to their kingdom. Ngozi looked around and loved everything she was seeing. She was very happy to belong to a place like this. She felt very much at home, and everyone there bowed to Ngozi. "This is where you belong," the snake said. "This is your true home." Another night, they played hide and seek among the stars. The birds would fly far away and Ngozi chased after it, her laughter echoing through the sky. On other nights, they taught her things like how to speak languages she has never heard before, how to move objects without touching them, and how to hear people's thoughts. During the day, Ngozi would be restless. She didn't care much about playing with her senior brother and her toys anymore. She only wanted the night to come so she could see her real friends. Her mother Nkem started noticing the change, and she asked Ngozi, "Why do you always look tired in the morning? Are you not sleeping well?" "I'm fine, Mom," Ngozi said, hiding her excitement, but her mom wasn't convinced. She often found her daughter staring out the window, her eyes distant as if she were waiting for something. As weeks turned into months and months turned into years, Ngozi's mom, Nkem, became more worried. Ngozi started waking up with leaves in her hair and dirt on her feet as if she had been outside. "Ngozi, where did you go at night?" Ngozi's mom asked one morning. "Nowhere, Mom. I stayed in bed," Ngozi lied, but Nke wasn't convinced. She began praying over her daughter. So one night, Nke slept and had a dream where she was visited by an angel who told her that the child was chosen by forces beyond this world. He said, "But she's still a child. Her path is not yet fixed. If she chooses love and goodness, she can be saved. But if she follows the darkness, she will be lost." Ikem asked, "How do I help her choose the right path?" The angel said, "Love her. Your love is her shield. So, as a mom, train her in the way she should go so that when she grows up, her life will be patterned towards the training you gave her." She woke up and felt encouraged and determined to love, protect, and pray for Ngozi. Years later, while Ngozi was in secondary school, she was very intelligent. In fact, her intelligence was terrifying. At 12 years, she seemed to know everything, every topic, every fact, even things her teachers didn't know. She could solve math problems in her head, recite entire history textbooks, and quote scientific theories no one had taught her. Her classmates admired her, but her teachers feared her. So, in one particular term, Mr. Johnson, their new physics teacher, entered the classroom. He was eager to impress his students and he started the lesson with enthusiasm. But as he wrote a formula on the board, Ngozi raised her hand. "Sir, that formula is wrong," she said confidently. The class turned to her, shocked. Mr. Johnson frowned. "What do you mean? This is basic physics." Ngozi stood up, walked to the board and corrected the formula. "This is how it's supposed to be, sir," she said calmly. Mr. Johnson checked his notes and realized she was right. Embarrassed, he tried to brush it off, but the class burst into whispers and giggles. From that day on, Mr. Johnson avoided Ngozi's class. It wasn't only just physics. Ngozi dominated every subject. In English, she would correct her teacher's grammar. In chemistry, she pointed out errors in experiments. In maths, she solved problems even the teachers couldn't explain. One day, during a biology lesson, the teacher was explaining the circulatory system when Ngozi raised her hand. "Excuse me, ma, but that's not how the heart works," she said. The teacher glared at her. "Are you the teacher, Ngozi?" "No, ma, but I've read about it and what you are saying isn't correct," Ngozi replied. The teacher grew angry and shouted at her to sit down, but the damage was done. The class had started laughing and Ngozi had once again embarrassed an adult in front of everyone. Rumors began to spread about Ngozi. Some said she was gifted, but others whispered that she was cursed. How could a child know so much? Her classmates began to avoid her. Scared of her strange intelligence, teachers dreaded teaching her class. They would fumble with their notes. Scared of being corrected, Some even pretended to be sick to avoid facing Ngozi. But Ngozi wasn't just intelligent, she was different in other ways. One day, during break time, a group of students were playing outside when Ngozi walked past. A boy named Chike tripped and fell, scraping his nail. "Ouch!" he cried, holding his leg. Ngozi knelt beside him and placed her hand on the wound. "You'll be fine," she said softly. When she removed her hand, the wound was gone. Chike stared at her, terrified. "How did you do that?" Ngozi shrugged. "I just knew what to do." By the end of the day, everyone in school had heard the story. They began calling her a witch. Meanwhile, Ngozi continued to excel in her school. She became the top student in her class. But her intelligence isolated her. Her classmates avoided her, and her teachers tiptoed around her. One day, during a school assembly, Ngozi stood up and began reciting a speech no one had asked her to. But her words were so powerful and commanding that the entire hall fell silent. When she finished, the principal asked, "Where did you learn that?" Ngozi smiled faintly. "I didn't. It just came to me, sir." The principal called the parents. "Your daughter is gifted, but there's something unsettling about her," he said. Then Inke broke down in tears. The father said, "We don't know what to do anymore. We have tried everything." Then the principal said, "Maybe it's time to take her to church for prayers," the principal suggested. At home, Inke was worried. She had always known her daughter was different as a baby. Ngozi rarely laughed and seemed to watch the world with eyes too knowing for her age. By the time she was 3, she could read. By 5, she was speaking 3 languages. Ikem loved her daughter, but often felt uneasy. There were nights when she would find Ngozi awake, staring out the window and whispering to herself. When asked, Ngozi would say, "I'm talking to my friends." Ikem was already seeking help. She had taken Ngozi to several churches, but the pastors always said the same thing. "This child is not ordinary. She was sent with a purpose." "What purpose?" Ngozi's mom asked desperately. One night, Inkem woke up to find Ngozi sitting at the dining table, surrounded by books. The strange part was that the books were closed, yet Ngozi seemed to be reading all of them. "What are you doing?" Inkem asked her daughter. "They are teaching me," Ngozi said without looking up. "Who?" Ngozi finally looked up at her mom. She laughed and continued doing what she was doing. 2.5 years later, as Ngozi was approaching her 15 years birthday, the snake and the bird took Ngozi to a grand feast in their kingdom. The table was long and filled with food that glowed and sparkled. There were fruits that tasted like sunshine, drinks that made her feel warm and light, and music that seemed to come from nowhere. "As you enjoying yourself?" said the bird to Ngozi. "This is how we used to enjoy ourselves when you were here with us." Ngozi laughed. She felt special, like a queen. But as she enjoyed the feast, the snake whispered, "Remember, Ngozi, this is who you are. Don't forget your mission." Ngozi frowned. "What mission?" she asked. "The mission you were sent to do by the demonic ruler," the snake replied. Ngozi became sad. The friends told her again, "It's time." And she replied, "It's time for what?" The more the friends pressured her, the more she insisted. "I can't do it," she told them that night. "They love me too much, and I love them too." The friends were furious. "You were sent back there for a reason." They screamed at her, "You cannot fail us." On the night of her 15th birthday, the demons came for her. Ngozi was lying on the bed when the room grew cold. Shadows appeared on the walls, twisting and moving like living things. "Ngozi," a deep voice growled, "you have disobeyed us." She sat up, trembling. She knew they have come for her. The demonic ruler have sent one of his fierce-looking demons to get her.